from what you want to do. So for that reason, you're not taking him.
Yeah, I don't think they're terrible players. Like I said, they have roles. They're not guys that I'm really going after. Put it that way. Guys I have been going after. I'm just coming honestly.
Right. No. I understood. Ruben, any thoughts on Connor?
Yeah, it depends who you want in that spot. I mean, if you need to round out your outfield and you need power, Calhoun's the guy. If you want someone to get you some stolen bases, Mark Canha was on pace last year for 15 homers and 10 stolen bases with close to 85 runs. He also is very durable. He played 59 games last year. He used to play first base. There's a possibility that if there's any injury, he can fill in at first base, maybe become first base eligible as well. His home run to fly ball rate was only 7.9. That's kind of low. Now, he does play in Oakland, so that may play into it a bit, but I think that may go up a little bit. You may be surprised with how much power you get. And again, he may be batting like in the top part of the order or in the middle part of the order, and he's someone to get. He will score you a lot of runs. He's not that sexy name out there, but he's the one who will actually give you a lot of counting stats where you need them.
I think that people undervalue the run production stats, and when you get in the 18th round somebody who's going to score 70, 80 runs, 70, 80 RBIs, I think that's undervalued. A lot of people will say, 18th round, you got to go upside. To me, I'm happy with a huge bargain in that round. I'm not looking for upside in that round. I'm looking for either somebody with a lot of value or somebody with little value, but upside. Then once we pass the 20th round, a little bit more I tilt towards the upside.
But what are we talking about? Like a 23-round draft, a 30-round draft? And that plays into it as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, people listening to this show are playing in very different formats, and trying to give some general guidance as to what people can think of in the player. Obviously, your format really matters. Auction versus draft versus how many teams you're in. If you're in a 12-team league, you're not going to think of Mark Canha. If you're in a 15-team league, you might. It's really dependent. We're just trying to give some guidance and some information.
Oh no, I was just asking the question.
Yeah. Most of the numbers I mention in this show, and I say this from time to time, the numbers I give and the rounds I give is 15 team NFBC type style leagues where we're talking 23 or 30 rounds if you include the bench. But that's pretty much it. But it does depend on the format, 100%. Next one, Raimel Tapia. Rarely does ATC project a stolen base bargain, ever. And for a guy who ATC is projecting as 17 stolen bases to be a couple dollars bargain, a round or two or three bargain, is pretty incredible. 17th round, it's a guy who can have 17 stolen bases, a high average. Now, he has been having a lucky BABIP, so I don't think that the 320 mark is anything close that he hit last year. We're talking a guy who's maybe around 280. The problem with him is he's a very, very low output, but with all said and done, you're getting some steals. You're getting a nice amount of steals. You're getting some runs. You're getting a good average. It's a profile that can fit and help balance out a roster at a bargain for what his value says it is, at a decently late enough option. To me, he's somebody that you don't have to target, but you should be in mind that if he's available, he might fit your roster. Any thoughts on Tapia?
No, I mean, like you said, he's playing in cores, so that helps the average. It buoys the BABIP and all that. And in just under 900 plate appearances. He's 13 homers, 25 stolen bases. Don't believe any of the power, a single-digit home run kind of guy. But, yeah, like you say, you're looking here where he's going. You're saying if you're light on speed and you want an outfielder, it's Raimel Tapia, it's Manny Margot. You just don't want to be saying these are the guys that are going to save me in stolen bases.
Yeah.
That's where you get in trouble.
That's true. In an auction, maybe he's a little bit better value. Maybe he flips, maybe not. I kind of think he might be a better value in a draft than an auction for some reason. Because if he is going in an ADP of 17th round, it's just a better value bargain. I think in an auction, people are going to overpay when they say, "God, I need some steals late." So they'll have to spend a couple dollars over. So he might actually be a better value in a draft. Ruvain, thoughts?
Yeah, well, he's the guy for stolen bases. 8 stolen bases in 51 games last year. He's going to bat leadoff. He almost has an assured spot in the outfield now that Ian Desmond has decided not to play this year. In the minors, when he was in the minors last couple of years, he averaged between 22 and 25 stolen bases per year. So he's not that 40 stolen base guy. He's had a decent batting average in the minors as well as the majors. So, he's not going to kill you with that. He hits the ball on the ground 55% of the time. So he knows where his bread and butter is. He knows that he can beat out that infield hit. He knows that he's going to try to hit those balls on the ground and try to get, leg out a single, stretch a single to a double, steal those bases. That's what he's in the lineup for.
Yeah. Last player, Aaron Hicks. The question. Let's go to Ruvain first. I mean, the question really is health with him.
Well, Aaron Hicks himself said he never has really felt himself since the surgery. That is a red flag. He had less power. He only had 6 homers in 54 games last year. His average was down. He's 32. His barrels were down. Launch angle down. Everything for him is trending down, and it doesn't look good. I mean, on the Yankees, who would you rather play in the outfield? Are you going to play Brett Gardner or you play Aaron Hicks? I think they're splitting time, split a lot of time in all over the outfield, and because I think they're going to. I think Clint Frazier, he was named the left fielder already, so I think he's going to play. So I think Aaron Hicks and Brett Gardner are going to split time. I think he's not going to have that many at bats, and I don't think they're going to be that productive.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, no, I think that was an excellent breakdown. This was a player that, when he got to the Yankees, really lived up to it, but he hasn't, he's had an injury history, and I don't think he's been that same guy since, as was previously stated. I agree with everything you said, and I'm not even buying that he's batting third or he's going to stay healthy. I think Gleyber Torres eventually ends up in that third spot. I think Torres, I know it's right heavy, but that's the Yankees anyway. But between Judge, Stanton, with LeMahieu up top, and everybody forgets, Torres is 24 years old? This kid's a baby. I think he's one of the best bargains out there right now going in the 5th round with a kid with a ton of upside that if he stays healthy and the Yankees are healthy, I mean, 30, 90, 90 are pretty much lock for him. What did it say, a 275 average?
For Gleyber?
Yes, for Gleyber.
Yes.
So I'm not, as much as I liked Hicks in the past and stuff, he's really not a guy that I'm even is even on my radar. Maybe that's wrong, because if he is fully healthy and he does bat third, then I'll look foolish. But look, you got to be willing to be out on certain guys. You can't like everybody.
Yeah. No, I heed Ruvain's thoughts on the injury. The runs are really was his big selling point. Batting on the Yankees, great spot in the lineup. If he's not going to be able to do that, and it seems that the Yankees have other options instead of going with this 31-year-old guy who might split time, you're going to lose that counting production. I don't love that spot here. Projections, though, are fairly decent on him. 20 homers, 8 stolen bases, 76 runs. His interprojectional volatility skews really nicely, very negative. Skewed and very low standard deviation. So projections are all in agreement, which is usually a player I'd say is interesting. But I heed some of the warnings, and maybe I think that the projections are wrong, or at least too optimistic. Maybe not in the skills, but in the playing time. We're projecting 450 at bats for ATC. Could be much. And again, health, you never know. He might be injured and out for some more time. Who knows? All right, so we have one mailbag question. Let's go to Matt first. Thoughts on Willy Calhoun? This is from Zach. Asks, thoughts on Willy Calhoun? He was flat out terrible, and now there is some competition. Granted, Dahl will likely get hurt, but what's the likelihood that Calhoun can get back to 2019? Matt?
I think if you believed in the guy in 2019, I'd believe in him again. Just looking, he played only, less than half a year or just about last year. And I think the plate skills were pretty much similar and stuff. If you got an injury or you had COVID or something, it just skewed your whole sprint season. You didn't have time to come back, or maybe you rushed. So if you liked Calhoun then, I think the Rangers are going to give this kid every opportunity to see what they have in him. He's, I think, like 26 right now?
Yep.
So it's not, they got to make a decision going forward. This is a team looking for the future. Is Calhoun a part of their future? David Dahl's like a 1-year deal, if I'm correct. So I don't have a problem with, a guy like Willy Calhoun. I think he's got a good hit tool, and 2020, yes, there were some real things. But one thing I won't do neither with guys, I'll never extrapolate what they did in 2 months over like 6 months. Some of these pitchers that were good for 2 months, you would have seen that correction come in the months, 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. So if you believed in the guy then and the skills looked pretty much what they were prior, just the output wasn't there and there wasn't full health, then I'd reinvest. And most of the time, it's at a cheaper price. Like if you liked Austin Meadows going into last year, I think you should like him now, right? I mean, he had a horrible year, but the kid was never healthy. He's coming into camp healthy, in shape, and he's still young. So that's how I look at it. Maybe it's wrong. That's what I'm going off of. I see that certain things were real, but for the most part, as long as, there wasn't a debilitating injury and the guy's not coming back this year or he's going to be starting later, I'm in on that player.
Yep, Ruben?
Well, Willy Calhoun is the epitome of bad luck. Last year, coming into spring training, the first spring training back in March, he had a hip injury. Then he got hit. Remember, he got hit in the face with that pitch and he had a fractured jaw. He had a whole issue dealing with that. And then after that, he had another injury. He just was very, very, very unlucky last year. I don't think we ever saw the real Willy Calhoun last year. He was extremely unlucky as well. His bat was 217, so he was extremely unlucky. He's eligible at DH, which in Texas is kind of interesting because they have Chris Davis there. Is he going to lose time to Chris Davis in as a DH? Is he going to play the outfield because David Dahl's hurt? Is Joey Gallo going to move to first base a little bit maybe to rest him and move and have Willy Calhoun play the outfield? There are a lot of different paths to playing time for Willy Calhoun, and if you throw out last year like a lot of people are because of the short season, because of the injuries, then he's definitely a guy with upside.
Yeah. The thing is that he's going right now towards the end of drafts. He's going in the 26th round in a 15-teamer, and the profile is another 247, 25 to 30 homer guy. That's really what he is. There are so many of those around. I don't see the 40 homer upside. I see the upside as being 25 to 30 homers, and there are a lot of guys in the draft that have the same profile. So I don't find him as interesting for my roster. He's more of a waiver wire guy for me, that my guy gets hurt, I need to fill in a profile, I pick him up. I think that there are other guys on the waiver wire or close to the end of draft who have that profile. So for me, he's just not as interesting as some of the others. And I'm not convinced that he's going to have that jump. Yes, throw out what he did last year, 100%. But, if you do that, his ranges are still very, very enormous. I have projections that have him almost at 10 homers, and I have projections that have him at 30 homers that I see. So there's a wide range of what he can do, I think. I'm not thrilled with taking him. I don't think I'm going to have him on my squads. I can definitely see him as maybe a last pick if I somehow needed that profile on my team. But more likely, I probably won't have him. I'll take a stab elsewhere. All right. Well, this was a fantastic show, Matt. We covered a lot of topics, a lot of thinking through strategy, like the way you talk is how to think through things and the point, the counterpoint, and what are you going to do here and the plan. And just really great to talk with you about some of that today. So thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you both of you guys for having me on. It was very enjoyable. I do like the outfielders we talked about because outside of Pollock, I don't really have any of them. I think some of them are useful, especially Santander. I do like him. He's maybe the FOMO guy I have right now.
Yeah. I want to tell everybody where we can see some of what Matt Modica is doing, follow you, and all things Matt.
At CTM Baseball. Charlie Thomas Michael Baseball. CTM Baseball is where I'm at on Twitter. You want to take a look? Come on by.
All right, Ruvain, why don't you plug yourself?
You can follow me on Twitter